All right. We have a few students joining in. We can get started with today's thing. Today we are just going to go over final exam review. So I'll be talking about what are the topics, what is the logistics for the exam, talk about the format, the distribution, and so on. So this is going to be a relatively short meeting so that you guys can get free and then work on your last day of classes if you have any submissions to do them. All right, so logistics, let's talk about that. So when is the exam? Exam is on Tuesday, May 11th. This is of course scheduled by the registrar. Where are you going to take the exam? It is going to be available on Gradescope just as the previous two exams. It is going to be available starting 11:30 a.m. all the way to 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. So this is just over a 12-hour window. The scheduled time specifically for CANOS is 11:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So it's a 3-hour slot over there. But I've kept it open for a long duration of time. It is going to be available throughout the afternoon, throughout that 12.5-hour time window, just because if you have time conflicts with other finals or you want to take the exam slightly later, you can do all of those things. It is going to be timed. So as soon as you start the exam, it is going to count you down for 3 hours. This also includes the time that you spend on scanning and uploading your document on Gradescope. Please make sure that you check your submission after you upload your work, just as you have been doing for the previous two exams. In terms of what is allowed, it is an open book, open notes exam. All the resources on Piazza are fair game, so you guys can take a look at the MIPS green card and the previous exams and the lecture slides and so on. So all of those things are allowed for every student. The thing that is not allowed is any sort of collaboration with any student on exam day. Now, if you have any question during the exam, send a private message directly to me on WebEx Teams. I will be monitoring WebEx Teams on that day. My response will be relatively quick between 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. That is the time associated with, that is the time scheduled by the registrar for CANOS final exam. And it just so happens that I have another final starting at 3 p.m. all the way to 6 p.m. So I'm going to be pretty much be available even during that time. So any time between 11:30 and 6 p.m. should be okay. So don't send me an email that can get missed. Just use WebEx Teams since you guys are all comfortable with it, and I'm comfortable with that as well. Now on your final exam, be sure to show your work for each problem. This of course applies to all the free response questions. It doesn't apply to the multiple choice questions. All right, so there are a few things that came in. Oh, okay. So Roland's question I just answered. Justin, can we use online binary conversion calculators? You can do that, but I would use those kind of calculators to sort of check your work. For instance, if you are talking about the IEEE 754 standard conversions for 32-bit and 64-bit, I would still need you to show the steps that are involved. You can use the calculator to check your work, but not just as the thing that you use to get your answer. However, if that same question is of a short answer type or a multiple choice, then sure, you can use a calculator. I don't need to see the work for those kind of questions. So hopefully that answers your question, Justin. Now, going back to the slide here, like I said, show your work very clearly for each problem, for each free response question. And if at any point you have to make assumptions, maybe all the the description of the problem is not absolutely complete, and if you have to make any assumptions, please state those assumptions very clearly in your response. Go to the next slide. All right, so what is the content that is going to be appearing on the exam? It is a comprehensive exam. The first main topic that we talked about was the performance of a computer. So basically running through the numbers, trying to compare which processor is faster, which CPI calculation, average CPI calculations, million instructions per second. So all those running through the numbers kind of problems are going to appear on the final exam. I most likely will not give like a free response questions on that, but maybe like a short answer multiple choice questions related to that you might be seeing on the final exam. The next major topic was our MIPS assembly code. Now it has been a while for you guys, so I hope that you can go back, take a look at your work, your homeworks, your previous exams, the current exams, sort of review the material for the MIPS instruction. Definitely my recommendation is definitely have the MIPS green card handy with you. If you can print that, good. If you can't print that, please use that as a resource during the final exam. And questions about MIPS might be a little bit short answer. You may also have one free response question on that. Next major topic was how do you represent a 32-bit number or a 64-bit number in the IEEE 754 standard. So number representations. This is generally, the way I look at this topic is whether you can convert numbers to those standard forms or not. So maybe something like a short answer question for that is appropriate. The next major topic was pipelining and how do you deal with different types of hazards and how do you use branch prediction. So again, it's going to be a sort of a distribution from short answer and free response. So you might see one short answer and one free response question on that particular topic. The next major topic was the memory hierarchy and how do you use a fast cache on chip to reduce your access times. How does the access time for any block of word change as you're increasing or decreasing your access times to a cache, to a RAM, to a hard disk. So if we have done quite a few problems, numerical problems on that, and you might see some again on the final exam. After that, we talk about the page replacement or page management, page replacement techniques, error correction using the Hamming codes, and then cache coherence. So you've seen a few questions about these topics on the previous exam as well. And again, you might look at some in the final exam as well. Now, on the next slide over here, we are talking about all the topics that were primarily in the operating systems set of lectures. Process creation using a fork system call, inter-process communication using pipes, process scheduling, the job of a scheduler dispatcher, how to use the CPU effectively. Then deadlocks and resource allocation graphs or wait for graphs, and then at the end we had a file system, right? So on all these topics you might see some short and some long answer questions. But I suppose at this point you are wondering what would be the distribution of the final exam, meaning how much is going to be the first few lectures worth and so on. So let me talk about that first. So here is the distribution of the exam, and I'm going to try to stick to this as much as possible. For content from lectures 1 through 9, essentially what we did before exam 1, that's going to be about 35% worth on the final exam. And then lectures 10 to 18, the middle part, about 35%, and all the new material, 19 to 24, class number 19 to 24, that is going to be about 30%. So I'm going to try to stick to this distribution as much as I can. I may go a little bit here or there, but that's sort of to give you an idea about how I'm trying to evenly break up the entire semester into the final exam assessment. Let's see, if I go back, now, how do I study? Where are the study materials? Well, all the lecture notes that are on Piazza, whether they be before the class or after the class, those are all available to you. And just to be safe, I do not want you guys to be under the situation or face the situation where Piazza is down on that particular day, right? So what I would recommend everybody to do is sort of download all the resources section onto your local disk, so that even if Piazza is down, you have all that information. Homeworks and activity, go through your homework and activities to review topics. And then I'm also listing out sections from the textbook. If you want to sort of review a certain topic in detail, you can quickly look up these particular sections and read up on that in the textbook. So from the Patterson and Hennessy textbook, which was mainly focusing on the computer architecture part of our semester and a little bit of operating system, we have the sections listed from chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then from the operating systems book, I have all the sections corresponding to the material that we have talked about during this semester, in the second half of the semester. So you can look up these things for reading up more if you're weak on a certain area. Now, these slides that have all this material, I will be posting them after our discussion to Piazza. So you will have all these numbers and sections available after our meeting as well. Okay, so let's see. Distribution of the exam, like I said, 35, 35, 30. I'm going to try to stick to this as much as I can. Next, the format of the final exam is going to be a few short answer questions and a few free response questions. So for short answer questions, I'm going to have about 8 short answer multiple choice questions. And for some of these short answer questions, partial credit may apply. For example, if there are 2 correct options and you guys picked one, you may get partial credit for that. I will not be awarding partial credit if a student checks all the answers, right? Then the partial credit goes away. But if you got one and you missed one, then you will get partial credit for that. Also, in some scenarios, when you're entering a particular text, and if it is absolutely not the right format, but you got the right answer, I will be looking into those kind of things as well for partial credit, which I've done in exam 1 and 2, so you guys know how that goes. In terms of short answer, I don't want you guys to spend too much time on it. Maybe about 1 hour. So if you think about 3 hours, right, don't spend more than 1 hour on the short answer multiple choice questions. They're supposed to be short, so they're supposed to be something that you do quick and then move on. And then you go to the 5 free response questions, about 5. I may add or subtract one depending on what I feel at the end appropriate for the 3-hour exam. Partial credit will apply for these free response questions as long as you show the work that goes into those free response questions. I think a really good way to look at what kind of questions you might see, I recommend that you go and take a look at the back exams from last spring for the final exam. I've posted the blank version and then I've posted the solutions as well. So try to attempt that maybe a couple of days before the final exam to see how you're doing on it. Let's see. Questions. So generally, this class has been doing really well. Your averages for both your previous 2 exams have been in the 80s. In exam 2, it was in the high 80s. So I hope that you guys do something similar for the final exam, so that you guys come out with a very good grade at the end. All right, let me move forward. I will take your questions now, and if you don't have questions, I'm going to say that I wish you all the best for all your final exams. I wish that this semester has come to a close, and many of you were burnt out, not just in this class but every other class. There was a online fatigue, right? And it was absolutely real. I could see it, I could sense it very strongly across all my classes. So I hope that you get done with your final exams and use the summer semester to take a breather. If you are enrolled in Summer Arch, at least take the next 2 weeks to relax, rejuvenate, and then get back into the courses. For those of you who are graduating, congratulations, you have earned your degree. You did really well. For those of you who are going to continue, I want you guys to keep in mind that my door is open. Even though we were not able to meet in person this semester, in the fall semester, if you are around, please feel free to stop by my office hour and have a chat. So if you find my door open, please stop by. It'll mean a lot to me. Now, I'm also looking for some help in the Summer Arch. So if you are going to be on campus or you are available in the Summer Arch, I'm looking for undergraduate student assistants for CANOS as well as for signals and systems. So if you have taken this class, please apply. I'm sure every student has seen that email from Professor Lu regarding an application that you have to fill out. It's a Google form. So if you're going to be around and you want to work with me for those classes, and if you have taken them, obviously you have taken CANOS, please apply, and then we can work in the summer as well. All right, this is all I have for you. I'm going to stop recording here, and then I can take your questions.